why British nationalism is frowned upon and rejected by the British establishment and the British media, and yet in Russia it's respected and, well, expected by its people. Let's go. Now this pretty much all comes down to one thing, and that is the fear of offending others. And of course it's not good to offend other people, but this is something that Russia looks at the West, the Western world, the UK, and thinks, why are people in the UK scared of offending people that are not citizens of the UK? Now of course you want to be respectful to all cultures, to all religions, to all races, but that should really start with the people who are citizens of the country. You shouldn't, I don't even know how to say it, like in Russia the scandal wouldn't be putting the Russian flag on lampposts. The scandal would be putting a flag of another country on lampposts. Whereas in the UK, the scandal is raising your own flag. How dare people raise their own flag? You're behaving badly. You're being too nationalist. You're being too fascist, too racist. What the hell? It's completely the opposite here. If you are displaying the Russian flag, then that's great. That's a sign of patriotism. That's a sign of national pride. And you're encouraged to be somebody who is proud of your country. Whereas in the UK, showing your national pride and showing that you're proud of your country is a scandal. It makes the headlines. Russian people just can't get their head around this. How can that be that if someone wants to show national pride, that is a scandal? It's just crazy. The UK and the West have gone too far, to the point where woke culture has taken off so badly that people are scared of national pride because it could offend somebody else. Look, I live in Russia. I've come to Russia. I'm not going to take a British flag and post it to a lamppost and put it on a lamppost. That just wouldn't happen. If I take the Russian flag and do that, people will be like, well done, that's really good. You're a foreigner that's come here to this country and you want to integrate, you want to be accepted, and you want to love and show your love for the country. It's crazy how it's completely the other way around in the UK. Just going to take a little walk around this, I don't know what you call it, office complex, I guess. So the first reason for the difference is that in the UK, well, British people are taught to be embarrassed about their history. The things that their country's done over the years, they're taught that it's wrong and that they should be embarrassed about it. And so this is one of the reasons for the symbolism when raising the British flag. People say, well, you're raising the flag, but your country's done loads of bad things. And everyone's taught in the media that the UK has done awful things over its lifetime. And in Russia, we're not taught this. We're taught to embrace our history. Yes, there's been good and bad times. There's been scandals, there's been dictators, there's been all sorts, but Russian people embrace that. There's nothing we can do. We can't go back into the past and change things. But in the UK, people are pretty much taught, well, you know, maybe Britain behaved badly, so that person, well, we should forget about him, or that person did something really wrong. That's, you know, not appropriate in today's world, and so therefore we should forget about that person too. In Russia, we don't have that mindset. People are proud of Russia's history, and so therefore they're proud on days when we celebrate Russia's historical past. Whereas in the UK, people are taught to be ashamed of their history. Look at this mini castle. The next reason that British people are taught to be embarrassed and ashamed of their country, their culture and their flag is because of the colonial period when Britain would, well, they said that the sun never set on the British Empire, but now in this period of life they're saying that colonialism was wrong, and they show and talk about all the atrocities and all the bad things that the British Empire did, how they took advantage of other countries, about slavery, about racism. And of course, if you look at it through the eyes of someone living today, of course a lot of those things are, well, not just inappropriate but wrong, but you can't do anything about that. That's the past. See, Russia didn't have colonies, but Russia was still an empire, and Russians love to learn and find out about the history of the Russian Empire. Russians aren't embarrassed about this period, they're proud of it. They learn the history and they are proud, and this is another reason why Russia is not scared to celebrate its history and raise its flag, whereas in the UK a lot of people are taught that the flag represents the colonial period, racism and slavery. This is a character from a famous Russian film who actually died while filming, and he's become a cult legend, I guess. And this is a line from one of the films where he said, "In what lies the truth?" And he goes on to criticize the American businessman who's all about money and will do anything for money, whereas he says the truth is the most important thing, not the money. Here we've got a monument for the people from here that died fighting fascism, and this area here, this whole area, used to be a tank factory. The next reason that the UK and Russia are different is because in the UK people are scared of the consequences of raising a flag, the consequences of being nationalist, the consequences of showing your pride in your country. In the UK, that could really make a massive problem for yourselves. It's well documented about two-tier policing in the UK. When an immigrant shows some national display and pride of the country that they're from, it seems to be fine. When someone from the UK does it, then it becomes a completely different story. They're seen as racist, they're seen as you know, anti other people from other countries. It shouldn't be like that. It's the UK. If you're in the UK and you're from the UK, there should be no reason why you can't display your flag and you can't be proud of your country. In Russia, it is the exact opposite. Russian people are not scared of putting the Russian flag up, not scared of thinking, if I put the Russian flag on a lamppost and the police come, will I be in trouble? No, of course not. You're doing a national display of pride in your country, not the pride that the Americans love. couldn't help by saying that, sorry guys. Not that type of pride, but the actual national pride in your country. That is great. If you see in Russian villages especially, you're going to find loads of Russian flags on display in people's houses, hanging from doors, hanging from poles next to people's houses. If you go to Russian schools, there's going to be a Russian flag on the doorway of every school. Sometimes you're going to see Soviet flags. You're going to see flags of the Soviet Union that are up, that are commemorating the amount of years since the war and the defeat of fascist Germany. And national pride is something that is celebrated, something to be proud of. And in Russia, they just can't get their head around it. They think, that's just insane. How can people fear the police by showing national pride? By raising the flag, they fear what the police will do to them. Just doesn't make sense. Through here, we've got a food court. I used to come here all the time, and I haven't been here for absolutely ages. The reason that in the UK, people have started putting flags everywhere is because it's come to a point where they're tired. They're tired of feeling guilty in their own country, which should never be a thing, right? How crazy is that? Russian people look at that and think, how can you feel guilty in your own country for wanting to show national pride. It just doesn't make sense. The Instagram mirror. And there's lots of people that are really for the whole flag thing, right? Showing the national pride, and then there's other people who will make you feel guilty if you're one of them. And it's weird, isn't it? People are scared of what other people will say about them. In your own country, being proud of your own country, your traditions, your culture and your flag, you're scared of what other people will say. And of course there's going to be businesses that are going to be scared. I've seen some examples online of people saying you cannot enter this building or you cannot enter this premises, this location, if you've got the British flag, because you might offend other people. And of course those businesses, well, in the UK you've got a huge multicultural population, and they're scared that if you're showing the British flag in that premises, then other cultures, nationalities and religions within the UK will be offended by it. In Russia that couldn't happen. Everyone here is living under the Russian flag. We're proud to be here and we all want to be considered part of Russia. And so the Russian flag, the Russian culture, the Russian traditions are there to be accepted. And not because we're forced to accept them, but because we want to accept them. Because we want to be welcomed. We want to be acknowledged. We want to be seen as being people that have come here because we want to be here. Because we want to be part of everything that is Russia. And that's a huge difference. I cannot even consider going to somebody who I saw with a Russian flag and saying, how dare you display that flag? I'm not from Russia and therefore I'm offended. I can't imagine at the same time a Russian person thinking, oh no, we've got the Russian flag up there and that person over there is not from Russia. We should take it down because they'll be offended. Crazy. They couldn't even like contemplate thinking like that. But yet that is how so many people in the UK think. They're worried about offending others. It should never be like that.